You want to get into farming. Where are you going to sell? The answer most people are going to give is a farmer's market. Why? Because there's a low barrier to entry. It's the obvious point where a lot of people think to go to start selling. It's what everybody says. It's true. You can just show up with a easy up, a folding table, and a cooler. But the low barrier to entry is not the same thing as low cost. There are 7 costs hiding inside your first year at a farmer's market. Some of them are on your spreadsheet, some of them aren't. And today I'm breaking down the real cost of your first year so you can walk in with your eyes open instead of finding out the hard way. I'm Diego, Diego. Welcome to Modern Grower, where we talk about building profitable farm businesses, not just farms. Let's get into it. Cost number 1, the ramp up. This is the cost that nobody budgets for. You show up at a farmer's market with great product, a clean display, a good attitude, and nobody shows up. Neil Robinson, a farmer that I talked to in New Zealand, told me that $400 was a good day for his first 15 weeks. 15 weeks of showing up, $400 before the needle even moved. Michael Russo made $750 at his market, but it was huge. So you can have a big range in terms of what you might make at a farmer's market, but the pattern is consistent. It will take time, and time is money you're not making yet. Michael Bell, a farmer who I've talked to in the past, told me the first thing every new farmer he talks to will say is, "Hey, I want to go to the farmer's market." And his response is always the same. Just because you show up at a farmer's market doesn't mean more customers magically appear. You're splitting the existing pie. It's easy to get into, which means everybody does it, which means you're competing against everyone. The men. If your target is $800 a week, but you average $400 for the first 15 or 20 weeks, that's $6,000 in lost revenue against your goal. That's not going to be on your startup budget. The move. Before you commit to any market, visit for 4 consecutive weeks as a shopper. Count the veg vendors. Watch who has lines. Ask yourself honestly whether this market has room for you or whether you're showing up at a market to split the existing pie. The mindset. The ramp up isn't failure, it's an investment in visibility, but you have to budget for it. This time when you're making less than you expect, you have to be prepared for this both financially and emotionally. Cost number 2, the physical setup. Tent, tables, display fixtures, signage, packaging, a vehicle to carry it all. This can range from a few $100 to a very basic setup to something that costs a lot more money. One farmer I interviewed at Sonaterra farm, her name was Jen. She spent $500 just on handmade wooden crates and professional signage before her first market. She designed them to nest and stack for easy transport. She had chalkboard labels, clean tablecloths. She played music at her stand. She wanted to create this full retail experience. Did it cost her more? Yes, it did. Did it work? Yeah, people who never bought a thing from her would stop by and take photos of her display, so it drew people to the booth. That was the goal. Farmer Michael Russo took a different approach. He copied that crate and stack method from a lot of successful growers that you see on Instagram, the pile it high, watch it fly philosophy. He spent less money up front, got the same result. People told him the only reason they bought from him was how his booth looked. So appearance matters. You're going to have these startup costs. Design a nice setup that both displays your product nicely and resonates with who you are and who your brand is. The men. On the cheap end, you might get away with spending a few $100. On the high end, you might spend $1,000 to $2,000 on your booth. It just depends on how much display matters. Well, how do you know? The move. Before you spend any money on display, walk through the market that you're planning on going to. Look at what you consider the top three booths, the busiest booths. What do they have that you don't? You can copy the structure, not the brand. Like, look at their layout and then say, how can I be different? How can I stand out? What is my brand aesthetic? And design something around that. In a world where you're competing against other people selling pretty much the same stuff, appearance matters. Your appearance as a vendor, your product's appearance, and how you display that product. So invest some time. This is the mindset. Your display is not decoration. It's your first impression. It's how somebody views your brand. If your display looks like crap, they're going to think your product is crap. And at a farmer's market, your first impression is the only thing standing between a new customer and them going to a vendor that they already trust or some other vendor right down the road. Cost number 3, your Saturday. A 4-hour market is not 4 hours, it's 9. And I see this with my daughter. We do a farmer's market once a month where she sells some stuff. We get up at 5 a.m., leave for the market at 6. The market doesn't start till 8. The market ends at noon. By the time we're home after packing down, it's 1 p.m. Put everything away, it's maybe 2. So right there, have 9 hours into a day where the market is only 4. It's the same with farming. You're going to have harvesting, wash packing the day before, loading the vehicle, all the driving. Robert Arnold is a farmer I talked about. His dad would get up at 3:30 in the morning on Saturdays to load the truck after working 9 hours every day the week before, and then drive all the way to New York City, which was 2 to 3 hours away in the morning just to be at the all-day markets. Daniel Garcia, a farmer in Indianapolis, would tell me that he'd get, a farmer's market hangover from doing 2 markets on Saturday and Sunday. It was just burning him out. So this isn't a complaint. It's just a reality. It's a cost of doing business in farming, and the cost can compound. The men. If your farmer's market is open for 4 hours, but the full day is 9, and you do that 30 weeks a year, that's 270 hours. At $30 per hour labor rate, that's $8,100 in your time before you count fuel, market fees. If you're making $600 in a market day, a third of that is the cost of being there. There's a lot of time. Do the math. The move. Track your total time this season, not just hours at the market. From the moment you start harvesting for the market to the moment you come back and everything is unloaded, run that number up against your sales. That's your true hourly rate at the farmer's market. The mindset. A market day that grossed $500 in 4 hours feels like $125 an hour. I'm crushing it making that much money. But in reality, you made $500 in gross, but over 9 hours, that's just $55 an hour. It still is good, it's just not as good. So real numbers matter. Cost number 4, what comes home? This is the number that stings the most because you can see it. Neil Robinson told me when he was starting farming, sometimes he'd come back with 10 to 15 bags of unsold salad mix, and that's going into the compost. If he had sold it, that'd boost his sales by another 10%. It's a lot of money. Hermann Bruns is a farmer who I've talked to. He described bringing back half his product on bad weather days, a whole week's worth of work growing, harvesting, washing, packing for nothing. Jody Roebuck's advice on this is blunt. If it's not going to sell, leave it in the field. Don't pay yourself and your employees to wash, pack, and present product that has no buyer. Growing is only 1% of the cost. The other 99% is everything after the seed goes into the ground. the math. If you bring home 10% of your unsold product every week and your average market day is $600, that's $60 per week. Over a 30-week season, that's $1,800 in product that you grew, harvested, and transported and composted. That's not waste in the field. That's waste after all the labor was involved. The move. The move is to start tracking 3 numbers every week. 1, what you brought, 2, what you sold, 3, what came back. Then you have a 4th column, what you didn't bring, but you could have sold. And that 4th column is the one that helps adjust your forecasts. The mindset. Unsold product is not bad luck. It could be, but that's excusing things away. If you're consistently bringing home the same items week after week, stop bringing them. You're bringing too much. If you're selling out of something early, bring more. The forecast doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to exist. And for it to exist, you have to pay attention, track records, look at those records. Cost number 5, getting there and back. Transportation can be one of your biggest costs. Every trip to the market costs fuel. If you're not close to your customer base, close to your farmer's market, there could be a lot of time and fuel in getting that product there. This is one of those costs that might feel small week to week, but it can add up to something meaningful by the end of the season. Cost number 6, the weather. You can't control it, and at most farmers markets, you can't avoid it. They're outdoors. Rain is going to kill traffic. Heat can kill traffic. Cold weather can kill traffic. And Saturdays, when everybody does something else instead of coming to the market, that kills traffic too. Hermann Bruns, a farmer I've talked to, describes this as one of the most distressing parts of farming. You bring a full load of product to an outdoor market, it rains, and you go home with the bulk of it and either have to give it away or compost it. Just imagine a full week's worth of work wiped out by the weather. It's a very real thing that will and can happen. And the bad thing about farmers market sales is you have no ability to redirect those customers. You have no ability to reach them outside of the market. If they don't show up, they don't show up. Cost number 7, the biggest one, what you're not doing while you're at the farmer's market. Every Saturday, you're standing behind a table at Saturday. You're not prospecting restaurant accounts. You're not building an online store. You're not delivering to a wholesale buyer. You're not developing a second revenue stream. You're not spending time with your family, kids, or just relaxing. Farmer Joe Klebanowski, a farmer in Oklahoma, told me something that reframed the whole thing. He said that the farmer's market for his farm was almost purely advertising and marketing. They made most of their revenue there, but the real value they got was the face-to-face interaction that fed everything else. Their online store, their brand, their email list. That's the right way to think about it. The wrong way is to treat your farmer's market as your only sales channel and never invest in anything else because you're too busy doing the market every Saturday. The farmer's market might be where you start, but it shouldn't be where you stop. There are 7 costs of doing a market. Most of them are invisible on day one. The ramp up, the infrastructure, your time, unsold product, transportation, weather, and opportunity cost. None of these mean you shouldn't do a farmer's market. For a lot of farms, it's the right starting point. It's the best starting point. Low barrier to entry, direct customer contact, immediate feedback. But you should go in knowing these things and what it actually costs. It's not a free lunch. It's not just the stall fee. There's other things involved, and we talked about 7 of those costs in this one. Now use that data to go build a farm business, not just a farm. I'm Diego from Modern Grower. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.